Hey guys, so Hamster Learner 11 requested that I do a video on basic costs for the hamsters. So I apologise that you're kind of staring at the hamster toy collection. My phone is on charge, meaning that I can't move it all that much. So I just have a list of costs and stuff here for hamsters. So the first thing you'll be needing for your hamster is a cage. Now cages can range from £20 upwards. Usually you can pick cages up on eBay pretty cheap, but I know a lot of people don't like using second-hand things. Personally, I don't mind using them, to be honest, because I really don't mind just grafting and disinfecting in it and stuff like that. So for a brand new cage for a Syrian hamster, you're preferably looking at £30 upwards. So the cheapest Syrian cage is the Alaska, I believe, although you can make your own bin cage as well for around £20, but I would say £20 upwards would be a minimum of how much a cage would cost you for any hamster. So once you have the cage sorted, the next thing you would need to do is to get a bottle, a bowl, a house and wheel and things like that. So a water bottle can cost you roughly £1 to £2 depending on what type of bottle you want, or if you want the I think they're called the Living World ones, the glass ones, I think they're about £5 for a bottle. So for just a standard plastic water bottle, I think you can get them for about £1.50 in most shops. You can generally pick them up really cheap on the internet for under £1. So maybe if you're ordering a cage, you can order the bottle at the same time. So the next thing you would need is a house. A house you can get pretty cheap. Possibly get one for £2, maybe a little bit more. But you can make your own houses out of simple cardboard boxes. So if you don't particularly want to buy a house, then you can just use things such as a tissue box and then just give them a new one every week. For a bowl, you can generally pick them up super duper cheap. I've seen bowls for like 50p upwards. I know the ceramic ones are more expensive. I think they're around £2, maybe a little bit more. So anything ranging from 50p upwards for a food bowl. For a wheel, you are looking to spend about £5 upwards. £5 is a minimum of what you would be looking to spend for a wheel, for a decent quality one. So Syrians need an 8-inch wheel, dwarfs need a 6.5-inch wheel, but Syrians usually need a bigger wheel than 8 inches. Most people tend to buy the 11-inch wheels, which are about £14, I think most of them are. I know you can get the Trixie wheel for about £10. So you are generally looking to spend £5 plus on a wheel. So the next thing would be food. For a bag of food, it can vary. So I feed my hamsters Harry Hamster, and I also feed them on the Burgess food. So for Harry Hamster, I get mine for £2 a bag, and the Burgess, I get that for £2.50 a bag, I think. So you're looking to spend possibly £1 to £3 on a bag of food, depending on what food you get. And it also depends on where you live as well, because I know some places Harry Hamster is like super expensive. But I know you can get food from Wilkinson's for roughly about £1.50, and I know Wag is around £1.50 a bag as well, but I tend to say stick with Harry Hamster or Burgess. Those two are really good brands. So next thing is the bedding. So for nesting material to go in the hamsters' beds, you can simply use ripped up toilet paper, which will not cost you anything to buy because obviously you have toilet paper in the house. But if you want specifically designed nesting material for hamsters, you are looking anything from £1 upwards. So the Wilkinson's Paper Plate Pet Bedding is 99p, and that is super duper good. You can also get things like the cotton wool bedding. Please stay away from that. It is really bad for hamsters, and it has caused a lot of problems in the past with hamsters, so please stay away from the woolly type of bedding and just stick to the paper based bedding. So I always say ripped up tissue paper is probably the best you can get for hamsters. Next thing is the bedding on the floor of the cage. So you can get so many different beddings for the floor. I use wood shavings, even though, you know, they're not the best, but they are still safe. You can get things such as Carefresh, Fitch, Megazorb, hemp. You can get just so many different things. Most of the time people use bedding which is specifically designed for horses, but it is safe for hamsters. So Fitch is like Carefresh. It's about £15 for a 20 kilogram bale, and it makes it like cheaper getting that rather than getting Carefresh. So if you want to use Carefresh, I seriously recommend checking out Fitch. So bedding, you can be looking to spend anything from 50p up to about £15, depending on what bedding you get and how big the bale is and stuff. So next thing is the litter and sand. So dwarf hamsters should always have access to sand because it helps to keep their coats nice and clean. So instead of buying litter, I personally just use sand for their fur and for their potties. So for sand, you can get chinchilla sand, which I think is about £3 upwards. But what I do is I actually buy a big 15 kilogram bag of children's play sand from Argos, and that is perfectly safe for hamsters because it is non-toxic. So that would save you a lot of money if you buy a big bag of it from Argos. Or alternatively, they do have the specially designed sand for chinchillas, which is safe for hamsters. So if you want to use potty litter as well, you are looking to spend about, I would say, £2 upwards. So I've seen I think it's the critter litter for £6 a bag, which is kind of expensive. So you can also get that other type of litter as well. I can't quite remember what it's called. I think it might be by Savic. That's around £2. So depending on if you want to use sand or litter, it will depend on how much your overall cost is going to be. So the last few things include toys. Toys you could be spending a lot of money on. Toys are not cheap. They are quite expensive. So you could be spending anything from a couple of pounds to £10 or something at a time on toys. So that would all depend on how many toys you want and stuff. Treats, again, there are so many treats out there. You could be spending anything from 50p up to about £3, £4 a bag on treats. So I know the naturals range are quite expensive, but they are supposed to be really good. Or you can get the cheaper treats, such as, you know, yogurt drops and treat bars and things like that. So that price would totally depend on what treats you want. And the last basic cost would be vet bills. So I always recommend you have money set aside for a vet bill in case any of your hamsters need a vet. Most people don't keep money set aside for vets, and when the hamster does need a vet, they can't take it because they spent all the money on toys and treats and stuff. So I always recommend you put so much money away each week in a pot and specifically label it vets or something, just so that you always have some money set aside in case you ever need to go to a vet. So the minimum cost for a vet bill could be anything from £20 upwards, I believe. So you have to pay consultation and then treatment costs on top. So consultation where I live is £23, I think. That's without any antibiotics and stuff. So by the time I've got antibiotics, my vet bills are usually about £30. That's just for a bit of Baytril. Now obviously if your hamster needs a surgery or other medications, it will be more expensive. So I can honestly recommend putting so much money away each week in a pot. rather than going out and spending it all on toys and treats, because that way you have the money sitting there waiting. So yeah, that is pretty much just all the basic costs, I think. Let's just have a look. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. I hope this video was useful, and I hope I've kind of made people realise that hamsters aren't as cheap as what everyone thinks they are. Because I know a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, I'll go get a hamster because it's cheap. They're really not all that cheap. So yeah, anyway, sorry this video was so long, and I hope this video helped. Thank you for requesting, and don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye.